So for me, when I think of civics, I think of sort of four pillars, and this is something that the institute is working on a project to roll out at the university level and high schools. But when I think of civics, I think of four things. The first is having the foundational knowledge of our country, right? Knowing the Constitution, knowing the Bill of Rights, having that aspect. The second is being media literate, right? Being able to consume information, not just say, "Oh, wow, I read an article. That's great." Reading that article and saying, "I want to question this and I want to dive in deeper and find other sources." The third component is being able to have what I like to call courageous dialogue. That just because you are, in a university classroom and you know that your professor might be, a liberal professor, that you shouldn't feel censored to not be able to say, "Hi, I actually believe something differently." And but then also for that professor to say, "Okay, let me give you a platform," right? Because that's what universities are for, and you should be able to do this not only in the classroom but anywhere. Is to be able to have these conversations, this dialogue that leads to not, hatred, but, unity to be able to say, "Thank you for sharing your perspective. While I may disagree, you have the right to share that perspective." And fourth, is the component of being involved in your community, right? Because there's no point, at least in my opinion, to have all this knowledge and to have the skills and to be able to have conversations, is if then you can't take those three other areas and say, well, I'm going to go into my community and I want to make a positive impact. And however way, you see that yourself, it might look differently person to person, but being able to go back and give back, I think, is so incredibly important. But I think for me, that's what encapsulates civics in our country.
So you write that like in schools, this should be taught like math and science. So how do you see that playing out? How would that roll out?
Sure. So I think, like you said, I think that it needs to be a base thing that gets taught to everyone. I think that the really surprising thing to me, and quite shocking actually, is that in 2022, only 22% of eighth graders were civic literate, which, I can't even put into words how I feel about that. Every time I read that statistic out loud, I'm just floored because I don't know how to describe how disappointing.
It's sort of like those Jimmy Kimmel type videos where it's man on the street videos of, what does the Constitution mean? They're like, I think that's like a donkey that, yeah, it's like, what?
Exactly. So it's, though that it's so low.